You're listening to the audio portion of Workshop Wednesdays. Workshop Wednesdays is a free live discussion about topics affecting accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners. You can join the ABO group in Facebook to participate live Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Just search for ABBO in Facebook. This podcast is brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com, where you will learn, grow, and build a thriving bookkeeping practice. We have hundreds of lessons with almost every aspect of the industry. Start your free month today at Schoolofbookkeeping.com. Welcome, everybody, to another Workshop Wednesday, which is all casual conversations for serious workflows, brought to you by School of Bookkeeping, where you get to learn QuickBooks the way you want to learn QuickBooks, however which is your way. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. I do like this different vantage point that you have with your new webcam, which is...
I got a new camera.
Yeah, that room looks so much bigger than it did before.
Good, because this camera isn't as good as the last one. I don't know how.
All right, and we have a new guest with us today. We have Yusef from Crafting Clouds to help us talk about our topic today. But Yusef, you want to introduce yourself for those that are new to the show?
Yeah. First off, I just want to say thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Dan, for bringing me in. It's definitely my pleasure, and I'm excited to talk more about Method. A little background on me is I was a Method employee for about 6.5 years, where I became their lead solutions engineer, delivering high-value QuickBooks solutions using the platform Method CRM.
Yeah, so Yusef and I have this kindred spirit of having been on both sides of a company's badge, like working behind the scenes as well as working outside of the walls. So we have some interesting conversations of that kind of perspective. But I appreciate you joining us here today and reaching out early on so we could even start this conversation. But today we're going to be talking about, I want to mention before we get started, speaking of Method, I'm going to be doing a chat next week with our friends over at Katana. We've had them on the workshop in the past. So Method and Katana and a couple accounting pros, myself included, we'll be having a panel fireside chat without fire, I guess is the idea, but really talking about how businesses can respond to especially those in the inventory manufacturing space, to respond to these volatile changes that are going on that affect the manufacturing and inventory import distribution space. Put the link there in the comments, though, so if you want to join us next Thursday, so we'll have a nice discussion about that next week.
Yusef, what does you had said that you were with Method, but what does Crafting Clouds mainly tackle now?
Yeah, great. Yeah, I probably should have explained that a little bit better. A little bit of a history from my side was Crafting Clouds is a partner for Method. So when I left in the middle of COVID, and I wanted to give Salesforce a try. I realized very quickly that Salesforce wasn't really what I was expecting, and that I actually enjoyed the flexibility of Method and being able to make a bigger impact over there.
We love the Method guys. They're awesome.
Yeah. So
and gals.
Yeah, no, they're fantastic over there. That was the best job I ever had in my life. The company is the best. The culture there is the best. The platform is just spectacular, right? The ability for you to do almost anything in the platform. It really is an ERP system. It's not really just a CRM for QuickBooks. I came back and I realized that was truly what I loved, and that was truly where my passion lied. So I came back as a Method partner, and Crafting Clouds is just my company. I don't just specialize in QuickBooks solutions. I also do other stuff as well, but my main specialty is definitely QuickBooks solutions.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, when I worked at Intuit, we went through my tenure there several CRMs, and it was this pendulum of, okay, this new one is going to solve all of our problems, and they always positioned it as we won't need to do our customizations, and then as years would go on, it would be like this slow march of, okay, we needed to do this because we do things a little bit differently here at Intuit, and then they would make some customizations to it and some more customizations to it, and then it would break. And then the company would be like, you've customized it so much, we really can't help you. And then they would either try to fix what they're doing or look for another solution, which then started the whole process again of, okay, here's a new one and it's going to solve all of our problems. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard this story before.
Yeah.
So Method, it's always confused me a little bit. I think because it's called Method CRM, and I'm always expecting really that. And when you log into Method, that's what. But then every explanation, really, an expert that I've ever listened to has described so much more, especially with this customization with abilities in QuickBooks Online, that it's so much more than a CRM. And I'm finally now starting to come out of my confusion.
Yeah, no, it takes a while. And that was something that I brought up when I was working there with the marketing team. I said, we really, the CRM part derails the expectations. And when you go on these calls with people who just only expect a CRM, and then they understand what it can really do and where the real power of it comes from, then they're just blown away. And then
they should take that name off. I'm going to put a note in a suggestion box, and I'm going to drop it in there for them.
It should be Method QuickBooks ERP for a fraction of the price.
Or how about they just call it Method? Just Method. That's it.
Call it Method. So a funny story was, we would get calls routinely for people asking about a sale on a specific soap, and we'd be like,
oh yeah,
what's going on?
It's that soap product.
It's soap product as well. So that's why we had to add the CRM, I think, to the end of it.
Yeah,
because Method Soap is certainly not anything dealing with your accounting.
And I can only imagine on the other side, them getting calls about, oh, I need my invoice to be fixed. What's going on? They're like, what?
Yeah. We had a recycled phone number, or a new phone number that we were using at Intuit, and it was one digit off from a Canadian health line where people would call in to find a doctor. So they would be calling Intuit from Canada and be like, yeah, I need to schedule an exam. I'm like, the two numbers were reversed, and having to explain that after we figured it out what's going on. It's like, okay, you would be able to hear a little bit in the dialect and the voice. Okay, here's another Canadian calling.
Yeah.
Those Canadians.
Yeah.
They were, of course, very polite about the mix-up.
Yeah.
But, and this kind of segues, right? What you guys were just talking about, this kind of segues into why we're having Yusef on this workshop talking about advanced pricing, right? Because this is one of the things that you can overcome, like a hurdle, especially when you're transitioning from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online, with regards to price levels and price rules and advanced pricing that you might have established inside of Desktop. And then it comes over to QuickBooks Online. It doesn't come over to QuickBooks Online at all. And we'll unpack that. But I wanted to start off with you, Rachel. Do you have, as far as pricing and discounts, do you have those kinds of conversations or discussions with your clients about pricing?
Yes, and they definitely would like something a little bit more customized than what's offered. And so I love this idea to be able to customize really anything through Method. And this is why I love QuickBooks Online, because even if it can't do it natively, then it can be done through an app, specifically Method.
Right. Where there's a will, there's a workaround.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Method really comes in pretty handy with this sort of thing. But we have a blog that I just wrote in preparation for our workshop today. I'm going to put our little QR code there. So if you take out your phone, you want to see it and follow along, you certainly can. I'm going to share my screen real quickly. I want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. There we go. So we're just going to unpack a little bit about desktop and online, just set the stage a little bit. You can always go in here and take a peek. But inside of QuickBooks Desktop is this concept of price levels. And in Pro and Premier, there is a price level list, and you can set these things up on a level of a fixed percentage discount, and or a per item discount. So you have a little bit of flexibility about making custom pricings. And this comes into typically the use case of all of this is that I have regular customers or retail customers, and I might have wholesale customers. So I'll have one price for the retail customer, and I'll have a volume-based pricing discount for my wholesale customers or just customers that I want to give a discount to. Now, one thing to point out about price levels is this changes what the sales price is. So if you want to know that your customer or what discount you're giving off of your MSRP, price levels is not going to do that, right? It's going to just change the price of the item itself as you sell it. So you won't know the difference between what you could have sold it to. So you won't see on your profit and loss, for example, you won't see the regular revenue that would have been received on the sale and the discount that you're applying to those sales. This just changes the pricing altogether, right? So
top line pricing, it changes it.
Yes, thank you for summarizing that in 2 words as I'm rambling on. So you have those 2 options. Now Premier has this fixed, or I'm sorry, the per item pricing levels, so that you can add those. And then in QuickBooks Desktop Enterprise, you get into this concept of advanced pricing, which allows you to add more conditions to that price level, right? And that could be a certain customer type, a certain item types, dates. You can get pretty granular in the way that you're setting up these price rules, because they're not even called levels anymore. They're called rules. And they're stackable, meaning that you can have multiple rules at play, and it will make sure that all of those qualifications of that ruling is taking place before actually changing the price. And then ultimately what you do with all of this is you assign these price rules to the customer, so that when you put the item on the transaction, it just automatically chooses the right price for that customer, and all is good in the world. If you need to change the price, you certainly can. There'll be drop downs of all of the levels and the rules so that you can choose the right price if it doesn't choose it automatically for you. And a lot of times that takes a lot of time to set up and establish. And then here you come going from desktop and decide to go into QuickBooks Online. And guess what happens, Rachel, when you do that? When you convert from QuickBooks Desktop to online?
Doesn't come over. By the way, I like the term price rules, because I find that a lot of the external apps, which I'm pretty involved in, they use that terminology, price rules. So I like that I like that name. It just I feel like I understand it,
It,
or I recognize it a little bit better.
because yeah, levels is just, it seems like you need to achieve something in order to get to get
Yeah,
a
or
level.
it also implies that you have to have many of them, levels, whereas
Right.
you could just have one.
Right. Now, this is one of those things, because there's so many different levels or rules or fixed item pricing and whatnot. These pricing matrices, what what is the plural
I
of?
think it's matrices.
Thank you.
I don't know.
If anybody knows what that is, put that in there.
Only there is a way to find out.
Yes, if,
I'm going to
if
look it
only
up
there was
on
a website
ChatGPT
you
right
could
now.
go to ask these questions. Ask Gary.
I'm going to right now.
All right. So all of these things just don't come over, because in QuickBooks Online, it has price rules. So very similar to the advanced pricing. But if you've been around QuickBooks Online for any length of time, you will probably know that price rules in QuickBooks Online has been labeled as a beta for probably about 6 or 7 years now.
I know, and that's why sometimes I have the conversation with folks. I'm like, it's in beta, but I've noticed that it's been in beta for such a long time. By the way,
I think they just forgot to remove it.
I know, it is matrices.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we know, right?
Yeah.
So if nothing else, we know how to
Yeah.
say more than one matrix. When you're transitioning from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online, now there's a discussion that either you have with your client or the client itself is having of, what do we do now with regards to all of that? And you can take a look at what's in QuickBooks Online as far as what is available to set up. And we had a workshop a long time, probably a couple months ago, where Rachel and I talked about the new invoicing experience, and we talked a little bit about the price rules in QuickBooks Online. And you can do a lot of things that you can do in desktop, but this is now, okay, this is a lather, rinse, repeat process of, now I've got to recreate all of those things. And that might be, we've got to set up all these custom rules again and make sure that they work or behave the same way that we needed to before. But one of the limitations is, unlike in QuickBooks Enterprise with advanced pricing, is this whole idea of quantity-based pricing, where you see this a lot at grocery stores, where it's 2 for $5, or when you reach a threshold of the quantity that you're buying, then you get a discount.
Yeah.
Which is something that you can do in advanced pricing in Enterprise, but you can't do it at all inside of QuickBooks Online. So if you've set your pricing strategies and rules inside of QuickBooks on Desktop, and now you've come over to QuickBooks Online, that is not going to be an option. So then we get into, what do we do then? And this is a great segue for,
I was going to say, I think I know. I think
right,
we have a solution.
Right. And we were talking before with Shane over at Method on a prior workshop, where this is really where Method's sweet spot is. It is, at least for me, because I deal a lot with people who have transitioned from desktop to online, and the surprising gaps between the two when it gets into the minutia of, I was doing this in desktop, it comes over to QuickBooks Online, there's not an apples to apples comparison, or there's an apples to pear comparison, very close, or you have a Macintosh apple and then you have a Honeycrisp apple, where they are apples, but they're just not the same. Or I guess it'd be better Granny Smith versus Honeycrisp.
Well, and that kind of thing
sweet
is really important, because you're such an expert with conversion, and usually I send mine to you, but these things are important to know, because a lot of people, they have to have the conversation and even consider it. And if QuickBooks Online just doesn't have the ability to do something like this, which is very important, by the way, it could be a total deal breaker. So I'm very curious to know how this can work in Method.
So we've got some information about Method, how it bridges the gap. So I want to turn things over to Yusef to talk a little bit about. I tasked him beforehand. Okay, can you do all the things that QuickBooks Online or desktop does, or with the advanced pricing rules? Can you make that as a customization? So let's talk a little bit, Yusef, about just like the framework of Method and its customization options, because I think that's where people get wrapped around the axle, not just on the CRM side of things, where what's a CRM versus why are we talking about advanced pricing within Method, but talk a little bit about the concept of Method and its customization options.
Yeah. The CEO, Paul, when he first started Method, he had a very good vision, and he really steered the boat in the right direction when it came to helping small to medium-sized business owners that are on QuickBooks really leverage the power of QuickBooks, as well as getting further insights off of their QuickBooks data by using Method. And the way he did that is he said, first, I want this to be a no-code platform. And the second thing I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to extend off of the functionality of QuickBooks and give us the ability to also build custom apps if we wanted to, or custom functionality that QuickBooks does not offer, and be able to do it at the fraction of the price of whether if you were to go to, let's say, Salesforce, and you wanted to do a similar thing at Salesforce, it would be a multiple of that, right? So Method really is a platform that has a patented bilateral sync. And what I mean by that is if you update in QuickBooks, you're going to see it instantly in Method and vice versa. But then off of that, we also have specific out-of-the-box apps that are not available in QuickBooks. The most notable one is the field services app. So for any field services companies, as work orders do not exist in QuickBooks. So what Method did is they found an opportunity. They said, let's help the field service owners out there, and let's give them a work orders app right out of the box that they can start using, that will generate time tracking entries that will sync to their QuickBooks, as well as generate reporting that they don't get for their work orders, as well as create invoices off of those work orders once the job is done, right? So that's just like a simple example of what QuickBooks can do out of the box. But the real power is being able to create customization, stuff that is very specific and very unique to your business, or in this case, stuff that we lost when we go from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online. So I can actually show you an advanced pricing app that I've built. And this app took me around 10 hours to do. And this is something that could basically be available to you within a couple days. So if you're on QuickBooks Online and you really need advanced pricing and you lost that, or you're hesitant to move towards QuickBooks Online because you're going to lose advanced pricing, Method is here to help you. So right here is an advanced pricing app that I created. And this advanced pricing app shows you all the price rules that I've created. So I'm actually going to zoom in here just a little.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, sorry, I could see everyone squinting and putting out the microscope, so I apologize for that. I have that bad habit.
Yeah, and the people listening on the podcast later will be like, what is he showing?
Yes, exactly. So here is a list of price rules that I've created, and we're going to go through one of them, which is the May 10% discount. So this one just says apply 10% discount on all snacks online for the month of May. So as you can see, this is very similar to how QuickBooks Desktop does it. It asks for a name, it asks for a description, and asks for the type of price rule. So you're given discount, markup, fixed, and volume-based pricing, okay? And this is a QuickBooks Online account that I have that's synced with QuickBooks Online, right? All my QuickBooks Online transactions are here in this Method account. It asks for the time period that I want to have this price rule active for. right? So I have it for the month of May. And then I ask for, okay, since it's a discount, is it a percentage discount or is it just a fixed dollar amount? So here's where you can set whether it's a percent or a dollar. I've set it to a percent of 10. And then here's where you can go ahead and you can define your price rules. So right here, think of it as each of these records here is just an additional price rule. They don't stack on top of each other. They act independently of one another. Now that could change. If you say, no, I need them to stack on top of each other, then that's something that method is flexible and can do for you. But for the sake of this video, I made it so that they're completely independent. So if we look at this one, for example, this customer, Dodger Inc., they want a 10% discount on their ice cream cone items, right? Now, if I go into the estimate for this, all right, so I'm just going to go and open up an estimate. All right, in my estimate, if I go ahead, I have Dodger Inc. It's in the month of May, so we can actually cross-reference this with the price rule to make sure that we are actually going to see that price rule come in. So May 10% discount for the month of May, Dodger Inc. The ice cream cone is the item that we want to get this 10% discount on. I'm just going to go here and I'm going to search ice cream cone. So give me my standard price, right, which is $3.99.
All right.
But then if I just go to the price rule column, there we go. That May 10% discount shows up because the system knows, oh, there's a price rule for this. Let me go ahead and give you the option. Now, there could be multiple price rules here that you can choose from. Just to keep this video as straightforward and as simple as possible, I'm just going to show this one. So we do a May 10%, and as you can see, it did 10% off of that $3.99, which is $3.59. So it automatically updated that rate.
Sure Tyler's the only one on
now, the great thing is you don't lose that foresight on the price rule. You're not, if you say, hey, I want to know what estimates had price rules on them. You have the price rule set on the estimate line. So now you can run reports to see which one of your estimates had price rules applied to them. So that's just a straightforward example of how you can bridge the gap when it comes to it.
And one of the things that occurred to me while you were going through this customization that you had created is that one thing about QuickBooks, whether it be desktop or online, is you have what you have, and whether you use it or not, you have it, right? If you purchase QuickBooks Enterprise Platinum Edition, you have these advanced pricing rules, and that core functionality that you have with it, with the rules, is there, whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I didn't see is the ability to round your pricing, right? So if you do a flat percentage and it doesn't give you the ability to, or if it gives you a price that is a weird sense, right? And you, like a Walmart of the world where everything has to end in 97 cents instead of it has to end on the sevens instead of the nines, or vice versa. You have those features or functionality, but if you're never using it, what's the value of something that you're never going to use? So when you come to somebody like Yusef and say, hey, these are the functions that I need to use, like in your scope of this is what I want my pricing module to do, you can build it that way or not, and that way you're getting what you pay for. And if you are able to express what it is that you need, then you then become the method whisperer in that case. I'm going to be able to talk to method in such a way to make this a reality.
Yeah, exactly. So the sky's the limit when it comes to method. It is extremely flexible. A colleague of mine that used to work with me, I'm thinking back of this moment, we used to, and they still do this now, if you sign up to Method, they give you a free hour of customization. So on that free hour of customization, he would always start the call by saying, if you want pictures of cats all over Method, we can put pictures of cats all over Method. It's entirely whatever you want to have happen, and they usually crack up. But it's funny because that's true. If you really wanted a picture of a cat in the middle of your invoice, you could do that. Yeah.
And this also leads into other things about the differences between these two platforms of desktop versus online, is that if you want your things, and that when we talked about the new invoicing experience inside of QuickBooks Online, you have one choice right now to choose from as far as what you want your invoices and estimates to look like. And you have some customization that you can do in there, but if it's outside of the scope of that, you're pretty much SOL, right? You're out of luck. So if you want to do more and have a cat in the middle of your invoices or your estimates, this is where Method can also come save the day, right?
Yeah. No, Method, when it comes to print templates and stuff like that, I usually just say, hey, just send me exactly what you want on a PDF. If you're using it, if you have an old PDF that you used to use and you can't use it no longer, give it to me and I can make it one-to-one identical. The PDF generator out of here is extremely robust, and it can literally take something that you have and make it one for one. You don't have to deal with those out of the box QuickBooks templates.
Can I just tell you also, I don't necessarily have a problem with the QuickBooks invoices, but I hate the sales receipts. And I am going to create a custom sales receipt, and I am going to do that from now on because I have just been putting it off for too long. I'm going to do it today.
Yeah, do it for sure.
So Rachel, what do you think about this type of customization or with regards to the pricing rules?
Oh, I love it because I love price rules, first of all, and I love customization. I don't like anything standard. Not on my cars, not on my invoices.
Yeah.
So, I think it's awesome. I hope to do some more myself.
Now, Yusef, you mentioned this as you were talking, but when you sign up or Method's really great to get started, right? Because it comes with a 14-day trial. So you immediately, and the first thing that you do, especially in QuickBooks Online, when you start the trial, is connect to your QuickBooks. So now you can see instantaneously inside a Method. You don't have to import your data or anything like that. It does that in the background, so you can see, oh wow, this is exactly the way I have things set up inside of my QuickBooks, and you can start to play around to the different platforms and see how they're connected between the two. But then the first thing that you do once you've done that is schedule time with an account executive so that they can get an understanding of what it is that you want to use Method for. And then immediately after that is a free 1-hour session for customization. So they get your wish list of what do you want Method to actually solve for you. Mm-hmm. And then they start you down the path of, here, talk to one of our customization internally teams. Now, you are external, but you do the same things, and you did do those similar things.
Internal stuff, right? Yeah. I was on both sides of the fence. I started off internal, and they trained me very well. The leadership there is fantastic. The people that I worked with there were all brilliant, and I was really passionate. And I got to see firsthand how their process was in house, and it works. And I decided I want to come back as a partner. And from the other side of the fence now, I could do even more given my experience. So it's there's free hour of customization. That whole thing is that's the real power of Method right there. When you experience that free hour of customization, it's incredible how many times I would just show them something very simple that I can customize for them in that 1 hour, and they would be blown away. They'd be like,
Yeah.
Yusef, I have so many other things I want to do now. I can't believe that this works. And they want to schedule a call the next day, right? So definitely use that free hour of customization. And if you want to talk to me, I'm more than happy to do also a free hour with you as well.
Yeah, if you could put your contact information in the chat there, in case
for sure
people watching this later, they want to be able to reach out to you, or they're already started with Method and not quite sure what to make of it. That customization session, I think, is fantastic. And I myself was blown away when I sat in with a client, just how thorough the customization team actually was, because there were things that they think of that I wouldn't, and more importantly, the customer wouldn't, to know that this end-to-end process of this customization that they were working on is going to affect this and that and the other thing. So that is the good way to, I'm going to put it, actually, you put it in the private chat. So
yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you because I didn't know where to enter it from.
Where?
I'm sorry, I'm new to this. So
that's all right. But but they think of things holistically and very thorough as far as that customization the suggestion that you're making, or that change that you're wanting to make, and what it's going to impact across the board.
Yeah.
Can I just tell you, I also am now trying to customize. And I'm not going to say it's easy. There's a lot of different things, but if I'm the kind of person that just want to like teach myself how to do something, which I am that kind of person, I am always teaching myself how to do something, I could definitely figure it out. And the coolest thing that this has is it has a preview thing at the top that I can constantly like, okay, change that, preview, go back and forth, and always look at what it's going to look like instantly. So I can see, and instead of having to wait until the whole thing is done and then look at it, it's really neat. I'm telling you, I cannot code, I cannot design, I can't do any of that. I'm an accountant. But the fact that, and I know this is something that is really important to Method, is that folks like me, that I don't have any training or education in any kind of web applications, but yet I can learn how to do this. I know that's really big with them, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, in Method, that was, like I said, from the very beginning, that was their main goal, is to just try to empower small to medium-sized business owners, as well as accountants that use QuickBooks every single day, to just be able to leverage Method to extend beyond the boundaries of QuickBooks. It is a no-code platform, and they are trying to make it better each and every year.
It's taken me a long time. That's also because I haven't devoted a lot of time to it.
You're busy, right? You're busy. There's only so many hours in the day, but
if I did want to sit down and plug away at it, I'm seeing like, okay, there's a lot of different places to customize, and it looks a lot cooler than it does right out of QuickBooks.
If you imagine, if we weren't talking about Method, if you could do all this stuff inside of QuickBooks directly, and the way that Method goes around doing that, that would be almost a nightmare, I think, for the folks at Intuit to, oh my God, what did you do to QuickBooks? Where this kind of takes that out of the equation. It's almost QuickBooks enhancement.
Yeah, right? It is. And every once in a while, I'll get a potential customer that's, I really want it to look like this and that. And in my mind, I'm like, what does it matter what it looks like? But now I can say, okay, yeah, you want it to look like this or that? Sure. Now there's a way to do it. And so I just think that's really neat, because for people like me, it just expands my offerings.
Yeah. And Method has a plethora of like support when it comes to just self-learning. They have a YouTube channel, they have their knowledge center. I also have a YouTube channel where I go into common pain points that I like to solve for customizers as well, and just for them to understand and overcome customization concepts. So there's a lot of information out there. If you have the time, you can definitely learn it.
Yeah.
Yep. And they even do, Method also makes like a customization course for those that want to get into dip their toes into the customization options that you have. So it's not just, oh, what's this customization button do?
Oh, where's
And
that
then-
course? Where do
and
I
then
find it?
I'll share it with you. I don't have it handy,
Okay.
but I'll put that in the comments as well once I figure out where it is.
Yeah, because that's really helpful. Sometimes I can just take like an entry level course, and then it sets me, like I get the foundation, and then I can figure it out from there.
You need the tip of the iceberg before you realize just how cold the water is.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. It's not a far stretch for they really try to make sure that you're not overwhelmed with the platform.
Exactly. And I love their certification course and the huzzah and the snarkiness that that they have.
Errol's the best. He has his own style and he adds his own trademark to it, and it's amazing. You can hear that huzzah from a mile away when you're watching a Method video.
Exactly. Well, Yusef, I really appreciate you joining us here today, and I'm sure we'll have you back on as we talk about some misses on the conversion process from desktop to online and how Method can help out, like the layout designer or customizing your invoices or some of the other features that we're gotta haves in or key workflows inside of desktop that just either are homogenized in QuickBooks Online or just non-existent, and how Method can solve that for them. So we really appreciate you joining us today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Rachel. It was great, and I really enjoyed this call.
All right, and we will see you next time on the Workshop Wednesday, and everybody has hope everybody has a great week.
Bye, everyone.
And that wraps up another insightful episode of Workshop Wednesday, brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion and took away some valuable tips and strategies to enhance your bookkeeping practice. Remember, if you want to stay ahead in the world of bookkeeping and accounting, be sure to visit Schoolofbookkeeping.com. With a wide range of courses, resources, and expert guidance, you'll find everything you need to sharpen your skills and boost your career. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, please take a moment to leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. Your reviews help us reach more listeners and continue to bring you the best content every week. If you have questions or topics you'd like us to cover, reach out to us on social media or send us an email at support@schoolofbookkeeping.com. We love hearing from our listeners and are always looking for new ideas to explore. Thanks for tuning in to Workshop Wednesday. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep excelling in your bookkeeping journey. I'm Dan DeLong, and we'll see you next week.